Okay, kiddos, I don't know what happened on that last video, why it stopped recording, so here is the rest of it. So, like I was saying before, if you are good and you're like, yep, I understand where to find my M, where to find my B, how that all works and everything, you are good to go ahead and just skip this first part until we get into the next thing of writing linear equations, okay? So, I'm going to go through. If you want to, you can pause this video and then you can practice it on your own to see if you get it, or you can continue and go ahead and follow me along. So preference is yours. Okay, as I go through this, I notice this one is written backwards as well. So you can either go ahead and already pull out all the information you know, or you can flip-flop your x and then your -2. So if you flip-flop it, it's going to be y equals x -2, and we're taking whatever sign is in front of the number or variable. This is a positive x here, it's a plus x, so it's going to be a positive x here. It's a -2, so it's going to be a -2. So also another way of writing this is y equals -2 plus 1x. And so what I'm going to do now is I am going to go through and I'm going to figure out what my y-intercept is. Okay, so and my slope. Well, my slope is 1. Okay, because that's what's in front of that variable. Okay, and then I'm going to go through and find my y-intercept, which is -2, because that's that other number there. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I have -2 I'm going to start at, and then my slope is 1. Well, that's 1 over 1. That's a positive 1. So I'm going to go up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, or down 1 to the left 1, down 1 to the left 1. So this is just a line with a whole bunch of dots really close together, and I'm going to connect those dots and make a super straight line. So remember, either use your ruler or make a really straight line, or use your sheet of paper, use something to help you. Okay, so that is how we do that. If you guys have any questions, let me know. This will be on your assignment. Otherwise, we're going to now work backwards. So if you flip to the next page, we have writing linear equations. So now what we're going to do is they're going to give us the graph, and now we need to write the linear equation. And this is not anything different than basically we were just doing, because what we're going to do now is we're going to find the m and the b off of the slope, and then we're going to put it all together. So my starting point, I'm always going to find my b first because that's the easiest one to do. That would be right here, and if I count, I went down 1, 2. So that would be a -2. Okay? Well, now from there, I figure out what my movement is. I see that this is a positive line because I'm going uphill, so my slope is going to be positive. And if I look, so I'm going from this point to this point. So I'm going from my y-intercept to the next nice point. Well, what I do is I'm going to go up 1, over 2. This is exactly what we have been doing. This was on your last quiz that we took. This is one of the first things we did, was how to find slope. This is why we did that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the two things together. And remember, my equation is y equals mx plus b. So I replace the m and the b, and I'm going to get y equals 1/2 x minus 2. And that's all we're doing for this. So this is super easy. Okay, I'm going to go through and do that same thing on number 2. But I notice this is a negative line, so I know I'm going to have a negative slope. Okay, well, I see that my y-intercept is right here, and that's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's at +7. And then I'm going to go to the next nice point, which is this one right here. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I go to the right 1, 2. So that's -5 over 2. Now I'm going to go through, write my equation. Y equals -5/2 x plus 7. Okay, so there you go. That's all we have going on there. So what I want you guys to do right now is I want you to pause the video and I want you guys to try number 3 and number 4 on your own. Okay, so pause the video and try those 2 problems on your own. Okay, now that you've paused the video, you're resuming it now, and you have already done problems 3 and 4. You are going to know that on problem 3, you should have started with your b equaling -5. And when you moved up 1, 2, 3, 4, and you moved over 1. So your slope is 4 over 1, but we always make sure our slope is simplified. And so 4 divided by 1 is just 4. And then when you write out your equation, you have y equals 4x minus 5. Okay. Then on number 4, you should have seen that we started way up here, and that's at +7. And then you would have gone down to 1, 2, so that's a -2. And I notice this is a negative line, so my slope's going to be negative. And to the right, 1, 2. So -2 over 2, which we know we have to simplify to be -1. So your equation is going to be y equals -x plus 7. You can have that 1 in front of that x and behind that negative sign. That's kind of a personal preference, but you just got to know that there's always a 1 there. Okay? If you would like, you can move on and not watch my next 2 examples. I would maybe suggest watching 5 at least, and you can skip 6. But if you're like, I feel confident, I know how to do this one, you can go right ahead. But I would definitely recommend watching number 5 here really quick. Okay, and the reason I recommended that is because we see, what's this point right here? Well, that point that we start at is the origin, remember, and our point is at 0. 0, 0. That's why my b, I am starting at 0. Then I do the same thing for my slope. I go up 4, to the right 3, so my slope is 4/3, and I have y equals 4/3 x, and I don't write that plus 0. Since there's nothing there, I just leave it like that. Okay, then on my next problem here now, I have my slope and I have my y-intercept. I always start at my y-intercept, and that's b equals 2. I notice this is a negative line, so my slope is going to be negative. And I know that I am going to go down 2 right here, it looks like. And then I am going to go over 7. So I would have -2 over 7. My equation would be y equals -2/7 x plus 2. Okay, so if you need to go ahead and rewatch any of those examples, please go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we are going to move on to the next side of this page, which is these problems, which we are going to skip. So the only thing that's different about these problems is they don't have the m and the b written out for us, but you can go ahead and you can write m equals, b equals, if you're used to that. So that's just the only difference between this side and the front side, okay? So down here then, it says choose the equation that best matches the line shown. So there's a few ways that we can do this quickly, and that is through process of elimination. Because what I see here is I see that I have a negative line here. This is a negative slope. Well, if I have a negative slope, I know that any of my options that have a positive slope can't be my answer. So I see that 2 in front of the x here is positive for A, so that's not an option. And then I see that I have 1/2 here, which is positive in front of the x there, so that's not an option. My only 2 options that I have left are now negative. They both start at +5, so I know that's correct. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through. I am going to start with a point right there, and I am going to follow the line focuses. I'm going to follow the line until it crosses again nicely. Well, if I follow, it doesn't cross nicely there, but it does cross nicely right here. So that's what I'm going to go through and do. I'm going to now find my slope for that. And that would be down 1 over 1, 2. So that would make my slope -1/2, which matches up with option D. Okay. Well, I want you guys to pause the video and try number 12 on your own before you go through and check your options with me. Okay. So pause the video. Okay. Now that you've paused the video, now you're resuming it because you tried number 12 by yourself. Let's go through. Did you figure out the two options that obviously made no sense? Well, those two options would be ones that have negative slopes because this is a positive slope. Okay, well, I know options C and D both have negative slopes, so that doesn't work. And then the other option is I'm either starting at a positive one or a negative one. Well, this is starting at a negative one, so clearly B is the answer because it's a -1. Okay, so that is your notes for today, Wednesday. Go show Mrs. Erickson or whoever your sub is your notes that they are completed. And then you can go ahead and get your assignment for today. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I can't wait to see you guys. Bye.